What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, good people? You already know what time it is. You either get right or you get left. We're just doing a little quick pop up show for you guys right now. So sit back, relax. We got you covered. Let's get it.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
What's going on? What's going on? You know who this is. This is your boy, the historian. I got a little something I'm gonna put out there, and if anybody wants to jump in, you can. But we're just doing a little pop up show just to talk about some of the things that have happened over the past couple of days and just what's really transpiring. Because tomorrow, what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna open up the show to all Falcons fans to come in here and chop it up with us tomorrow for that season finale. And we're going to do a season review. But before we do the official season review, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a few things talking about the Falcons at this point. It's a lot of things right now that definitely just doesn't look good in the way that we finished the season and just the body language. There were so many things that happened, and it put us in a position to where it really took a lot of the steam out of the fans. Right now, I'm just addressing what the fans are feeling right now. A lot of fans are upset, they're hurt, they're just ticked off. They've lost a lot of money in this whole thing. And outside of losing money, there are so many other things that have gone on. You had folks that bought season tickets this year. That was something that we hadn't seen in a long time. And when you look at how the Falcons just toiled around and just didn't get the job done, it just wasn't a good look for this organization. And all I can say is, man, it's not going to even be a crying session. It's not. Like I said, I'm one that calls a spade, and we just talk about honesty. One of the things that hurt us this year was stubbornness, and it's got to be called out. We've got to have a whole defensive overhaul. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about the offense, Penix. The thing that failed us this year was the strength of this team at the beginning, was our defense. We gave up too many points, and we let folks back in the ball games that shouldn't have been in ball games. We made teams look good that were really not even on our level, honestly. You know, you have young quarterbacks that are slicing and dicing this team. And at this point, all you can do is just say, hey, this is what the norm has become in being a Falcon fan. And it sucks on this end, but we have to be realistic. We weren't ready to be a championship team. We weren't ready. everybody was saying, why not us? I get it. But we had too many issues. And the problem with us, we've been starving for a winner for so long. We've never really put it all together to be realistic about this team, this ball club. We have so many issues from top to bottom. It's no lie. We have so many issues from management all the way down to the towel boy. And yes, I said the towel boy because he's part of the team too. Even if he's just grabbing towels and cleaning jock straps, it's just what he does. But sitting back looking at it, one of the toughest things was to watch a team have a division lead and just let it go. You let it go. When you have a lead on something, you don't relinquish your grip. If you see there are some things going wrong, sometimes you got to pull the plug a little bit faster. You got to cut that umbilical cord a little bit faster than you've cut it. And one of the biggest issues that we've had is not knowing when to play players and when to play them. That's been an issue this season. Some of the players that we held on to were just not good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They just weren't good. We were good in moments, but they weren't good consistently. We don't need a moment. We need it to be consistent if we're trying to make a championship run or if we're trying to put ourselves in a position to have some respectability. Raheem Morris has got to do a lot of soul searching. I wanted to do a bumper to bumper with you guys this morning. Normally I do that on the way to work. And like I said, I put a lot of things, emphasis into the bumper to bumper, but this morning just didn't permit that. But I'm here with you now, and I'm just talking a little bit about it. I think one of the things that we have to start doing, we have to stop getting attached. And I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about the front office. They've got to stop getting attached to yes men. You've got to bring somebody in here that has an attitude of I don't give a damn, period. What's going on, Boom? You can pop in here. The link's already in the chat, so if you want to jump in, you can. I'm just doing a quick pop-up show. We're going to have the regular show tomorrow. But you've got to have somebody that has that type of moxie and that type of attitude that comes in here. You can't come in here and write checks that your butt can't cash. It's just what it is. You can't do that. Confidence is one thing, but being honest and realistic is another. You can't sit there and pillow talk to Falcon fans about where we are, and you're telling them, "Oh, we're a quarterback away." You can't do that. You can't tell this fan base certain things because these fans are starved for a winner. We want to see our squad win, but you have those who spend money. You have those who work 2 and 3 jobs just to go to the ball game because the ticket prices are very expensive. Parking is expensive. The only thing that's cheap is the food. But when you don't put products out here that suffice what these fans' expectations are, then you wonder why Falcon fans don't pack the stadium. You have the proof is in the pudding from this season. This is one of the things I talk about all the time. And when you look at it, there are many things that they've got to be adjusted. What's going on, Boom?
Man, what's going on with you, man? Man, you making some great points too, man. But I don't want to disturb you. Go ahead, though.
No, you're fine. My thing is this: like all the dust is settled, everybody's blood pressure is down. People are still upset. No lie, myself included. But I've put my feelings aside while I'm on this camera. Now, off the camera, it might be some things that might be said because I'm still a fan. But on the professionalism and the decorum side of things, I've got to be the voice of reason right now to point out things that a lot of folks want to say that some people don't get the opportunities to say. So looking at it, we have a lot of issues from top to bottom. And I said from management all the way down to the towel boy. He doesn't get left out. So as I said before, you've got to the way that you're going to win fans back is you're going to have to win ball games. That is how, and I'm not talking about ball games I'm not talking about easy ball games at that. I'm speaking on the gritty ball games, the tough games that you're in dog fights in, not literally. Let me make sure so Peter, if you're listening, we don't mean literally fighting dogs. Let me make sure I put that out there because I don't need y'all trying to cancel me.
Hey man, this council era, man, you got to be careful with that, man.
That's why I was quick to say, I was quick to let Peter know, because you know you might have one of these Peter representatives listening to the show that's a Falcon fan that still might have some ill feelings towards Michael Vick, so you never know.
Oh yeah. But man, I agree with everything you're saying too. Like just looking at this team, looking at we can't solely rely on an offense, to get you to the playoffs and talking about winning the Super Bowl. You gotta have a top tier defense. And man, my concern, like you said, man, fans are at the point now where it's like, okay, where is this organization going? I mean, you talk about we've had 3 different head coaches within the last 10 years, and we only have 2 playoff appearances under Dan Quinn. And if we can even go far back to Mike Smith, man, who had a 66-46 overall record with the Atlanta Falcons, and went to the playoffs 3 times. They couldn't win playoff games. I think they won 1 game under Mike Smith. But like you said, as from a fan perspective, man, I mean, we talking about nearly a decade of no playoff performances. I mean, you talking about 8 and 9 this season. The past 3 years, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10. I think the year before was Raheem's interim year, where we won 6 of our last 8, and the year before that 4-12. So the question is, like you said, fans spending money all of these years. I probably done been to. I go to at least 4 home games every year. And I'm gonna be a fan regardless. I know you're gonna be a fan regardless. We're gonna support our team, but I'm gonna tell you, Ron, it's so crazy in certain parts of Atlanta, man. People are actually saying they want the Atlanta Falcons to be sold to another state. I mean, that's how bad this thing is getting. And the thing is, every year, Arthur Blank goes on to say that the fans deserve better. The fans deserve better. Man, this whole thing is turning to, even though Dan Quinn is no longer here and Arthur Smith is gone, man, it's like, just like Grady said, same-ish. I ain't going to say the S-H-I-T word.
No, I get you. Same-ish, different year.
Yeah, man. So, and like you said, the blood is no longer boiling, but the fact of the matter is, they had an opportunity with the money they had last year to go out. And don't get me wrong, they went out and got Judon. We all thought Judon was going to come in and, dominate. But don't get me wrong. It's hard to dominate if you don't have an equal on the other side. Now, Ebiketie and Caden Ellis came through this season. Ebiketie was on my hot seat, but I actually want Ebiketie to stick around. Okay. I actually want him to stick around because, like I said, he stepped up big this season. But the fact of the matter is they had the money to go out and get everything they needed last offseason. And then you give Kirk Cousins $180 million, knowing that this guy's coming off an Achilles injury. And it's like, there's always questionable decisions every offseason. But, we kind of naively look past it and say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's, maybe it'll work out, and we know it won't work out. But the question is, what are they going to do defensively, man? Are you going to keep Jimmy Lake, or are you going to get rid of Jimmy Lake? Because Robert Saleh is actually a free agent head coach right now. I mean, a free agent coach that can actually come in and get this defense where it needs to be. And
they're actually going to send him to San Francisco. He's actually going back. So San Francisco didn't waste no time in bringing him back, because you also have to remember the fact that San Francisco's defensive production has dropped. Think about it. The last good defensive coordinator they had was Steve Wilkes. And when they parted ways with him, you see the production. So you've seen 2 competent coordinators that they've had.
And you and I both wanted Steve Wilkes to be the head coach of the Falcons this past offseason. I think I was more on Belichick. But like I said, a lot of guys don't know about Steve Wilkes and just the dominance he's shown as a coach in the National Football League, And like you said, the 49ers wasted no time, because this organization has set a standard. Okay, we want to be an aggressive team. We want to be an aggressive defense. And the 49ers fell off this year, but by them bringing Saleh back, That's like, fans, we apologize. So we're going to make this move solely for you to give our fans confidence. The Atlanta Falcons haven't made any changes. Like, in this situation, for your fans, if you're considering ticket sales and considering your revenue, and if you care about the city of Atlanta, you have to make an immediate move. Like, what are you guys waiting for? I mean, literally, we went from 2023, through the first 11 games, being a top 10 defense, number 3 against the run. I think at some point we were like number 9 against the pass, overall the 5th defense at some point. And then we turn around and go back to the 3 of the worst, the top 3 worst defense in the National Football League. So this thing is like a seesaw battle. And then, looking at the team, we're so sick of this unbalancedness. Offense is great 3 weeks. Offense is horrible 3 weeks. Defense is good. So I figure if you're Raheem Morris and you're Arthur Blank, if you're considering, Jimmy Lake should have been fired on Monday. Jimmy Lake should have been gone. This would have showed the fans, okay, you know what? We know how you feel. We appreciate your business. And we want to make a move to give you assurance that we are trying to get this organization better. Because as it's going right now, there have been no changes. And to me, I don't trust this organization. I think it's going to be the exact same thing next season, Ryan. I do believe that they may possibly go out and get better players, may possibly go out and get some help on the defensive side of the ball, or they could possibly let Jerry Gray fully take over. But I don't trust the Atlanta Falcons. I just trust them to beef up on offense once again, go out and get no pass rushers, and it's going to be the same thing next season, man. And then we end up losing a guy like Jesse Bates, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. So, yeah.
But what's crazy, Boom? This is what a lot of lifelong Falcons don't know. If you're under 30 years old, and really under 35, because it really happened before I was thought of, because I was born in 87. So, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Go back, because we've had Dewey McClain on here, who played in the 70s and early 80s. He was one of the original leaders of that Grits Blitz defense. Dewey McClain said just like this here, the one thing that we've done in here, hey, man, turn that label. We ain't giving no free advertisement to them people. Hey, but no, I'm just joking. But nah, but honestly though, Dewey McClain said it a long time ago. That Grits Blitz defense only averaged 10 to 11 points a game.
Yeah,
and I can tell you up front, back in those days, it was the defense that wasn't the problem. We've had good defenses from the late 70s, early 80s, and then it fell off. It was the offense that was bad. It took think about it. A lot of people talk about Peachtree Bart, Steve Bartkowski. And a lot of people realize this. Dewey McClain said once they got other good offensive linemen around him and they gave him a running game with Lynn Kane, William Andrews, Bubba Bean, and those boys, and Haskell Stanback, who we had on this show, I'll tell you the honest to God truth, a lot of stuff started changing when they actually gave him protection. And he still talks, and a lot of those older players talk about that to this day. They said Bartkowski had Hall of Fame talent. The problem was we didn't have an owner that understood how to put people in place to get to the Hall of Fame. Now, and they were cheap. That was the other thing. They were dirt cheap. Now, here's the reverse side. We've got all the offensive pieces that somebody could actually win a championship with if they fit that offensive line. But guess what? We have no defense. The defense shows up. The defense is pretty much like Sybil. It's half crazy when it needs to be, and then it becomes how can I put this in a clean version? They're pretty much as harmless as a box of newborn kittens in a pillow fight. That is how harmless they could be. That's the best way I could describe it. So when you look at this, there's a lot of things that kind of just went overboard. Like they were already trying to get Penix, but they wanted to make sure nobody else got him. So I got you on this, Pantheon, and I understand you're pissed off about that. But here's the thing: most quarterbacks would have costed a lot more than what we paid Kirk. A veteran quarterback coming off the season that he came off of before he tore his Achilles we were able to kind of use that as leverage to keep that price down. Because I believe Kurt would have been in the 200 millions if you really want to be honest. If we didn't have somebody that was educated like Terry. I believe, and this is just me, I believe our old GM Thomas Dimitroff would have probably been crazy enough to give up that 200 million if you really want to be honest.
Yeah,
I know Terry pissed a lot of people off bringing him in, but it was really chess because you didn't know how Penix was going to be. We didn't know if he was going to adapt as fast as he did. You got to realize all the other rookies, honestly, they've been in good systems. They've had pass protection. You don't put a rookie quarterback whose blind side is questionable with Caleb McGarry on that side. You don't do that. And then when we were playing against the Steelers, Penix wouldn't have survived that game. Watt was in that backfield the whole game.
I mean, he whooped McGarry like he beat McGarry like he stole something, man. I mean,
and think about it. In the Philly game, that was another game that you don't put him in right off the bat as a true rookie. Again, too much, too fast. I understood why they had Kirk in as long as they did. Not saying I agreed with it because eventually they should have cut bait and put him aside and let the kid step in. But I'm not starting him off with 3 of the toughest defenses at the time in the league. You just can't do that. I'm sorry. You just can't do that. That's the wrong way to try to matriculate a quarterback and welcoming him to the NFL. Boom, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
How do you honestly feel? And this is just a hypothetical question. We see coaches on the market. Say Black Monday, we would have fired Raheem Morris and we would have gotten rid of Jimmy Lake. Now, say they keep Zach Robinson, they keep Jerry Gray. You got Rex Ryan, Brian Flores, Lovie Smith. You got these guys out here. Those are just 3 that I'm just naming.
Yeah.
And Aaron Glenn, 4. I'm just gonna put these 4 out here. Who would you choose as your head coach?
Man, that's a trick question. I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, when you look at Lovie Smith, I'm gonna just use Lovie and Rex Ryan for an example. When you go back to the New York Jets, remember Mark Sanchez was his quarterback, and let's not forget that Rex Ryan also took Mark Sanchez to an AFC Championship game to the then winner against the New England Patriots. And I don't know if y'all saw Hard Knocks when the New York Jets was on Hard Knocks, and they were probably one of the few teams that was on Hard Knocks to actually make it to the playoffs. Because, most teams on Hard Knocks don't make it. But Rex Ryan, and his brother too. I'm going to be honest, his brother was a DC in Dallas. But
I think Rob is a better coordinator than he would be a head coach. It's just some guys that just are not cut out for that. No, I'm talking about Rex Ryan's brother, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob is a DC.
Yeah, but like I said, Rex Ryan has that no bullshit mentality. It's like Rex Ryan is a more energetic version of Bill Belichick, in my opinion. And then thinking about Lovie Smith. Going back to Chicago, just going back, everywhere Lovie Smith has gone, the team has been an aggressive defense. They have been a physical smash mouth defense to where he has brought guys in as free agents that were pretty much subpar. And those guys went to a Lovie Smith coach defense and made a name for themselves. So, in my personal opinion, and it's me too, and Rex Ryan is probably going to get the Jets job. Let's be honest, because I think where they are right now, they probably want to bring Rex Ryan back. But, man, it would have been a luxury to have a Rex Ryan or a Lovie Smith in Atlanta because that's the type of coach that you need to allow this team to turn the corner.
Boom. I'm gonna throw this out here because see, right now, I'm getting ready to really make it's just kind of like I'm getting ready to cook a ribeye and I'm about to sit it right in front of you and you ain't ate for 3 days. That's the type of way I'm gonna put it there. So I'm being politically correct, you know what I'm saying? So Put it this way. You got Jerry Gray in the building, who is a respected defensive mind in the NFL. You bring in one of those 2 guys. Heck, I said Brian Flores is a young guy. That's the young guy I would bring in because he built the Miami team. But if I'm going with experience, guys that have been around and they still can relate to players and players that still play for them, like this is one thing that like you said, Rex Ryan and Lovie Smith preach. They preach physicality.
Yep.
And just think about this. A lot of people don't understand this. Jerry Gray preaches physicality. You bring one of those guys in as a head coach, and they let Jerry Gray just go off. They let him go off and do his own thing. And you bring Steve Wilks in as an assistant DC. I'm just giving y'all some scenarios. I know it ain't going to happen, but guess what? It's okay to have a fantasy of having some coaches like this. Maybe somebody might be listening to this and light bulb might come on. Because guess what? Rex Ryan said on the Pivot podcast, I want to be a head coach again.
Yup.
Lovie Smith got the short end of the stick with Houston. And when you look at it, just think about it. You bring one of those guys in, you have Wilks as an assistant DC, and then you have Jerry Gray as your head defensive coordinator, and you leave Zach Robinson as the OC, young guy. Let him be around the veteran coaches to see how it's done. Because the one thing we know Rex is going to do, he's going to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to run the football. And the one thing that I give Lovie Smith to, either one, they're going to run the football. People forget Matt Forte was that dude in Chicago, right along with that kid Julius Jones.
Yep.
He was the other one. So just think about this. Bijan would get his carries, but Tyler Algier wouldn't get forgotten. I promise you that. With both of those coaches, it wouldn't happen because they believe in a two-back system. They believe in a balance. They believe in using their tight ends. And with a talent like Michael Penix, neither one of those guys had a true quarterback when they played. When they coached.
Yep.
What do you think the possibility, if this happened, is hypothetical, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Say Arthur Blank was to get rid of him and they bring one of those dudes in. And then they asked Ryan Grubb to be their quarterback coach who worked with Michael Penix from Indiana all the way up to Washington. What do you think the possibilities of winning would be?
I think it will increase. The reason why I can think about it, you bring one of those guys in, it's going to attract strong-minded veteran players, even guys in their prime. I mean, think about the guys that first of all, let's go back to the guys that Rex was able to bring in on defense when he was in New York, or the guys that Lovie Smith was able to bring into Chicago. I think that it's going to attract big-name free agents that will force Arthur Blank and Rich McKay, whoever's in charge of football operations, is going to force those guys to make room for these guys to do their job, man. Because, like you said, being able to run the football and creating a solid defense. And like you said, these are guys that, and even Brian Flores, I know Brian Flores is young, but think about the guys he was able to bring down to Miami. Think about, like, Brian Flores to me is kind of like I'm not going to say he's a deep, serious guy, but he still has zero tolerance for BS. And you see the transition that happened to the Miami Dolphins, who were just like the Atlanta Falcons in the early 2000s, going into the teens. But these guys were making immediate impact. And like I said, it's going to it's going to open up a window, for guys that are big name passers. I want to go play for Rex Ryan. I want to go play for Lovie Smith. I saw what they did to the careers. I saw how many Pro Bowlers they created on defense. Often, like you said, folks don't know. They have no idea. Matt, man, when you just going back and when you brought up Matt Forte, first of all, that guy was a dog, man.
Came out of Tulane, same school. And think about this: Terry Fontenot was his teammate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Terry Fontenot was Matt Forte's teammate, and Matt Forte kept him on the bench.
And you know what? That's the thing. And Tyler, don't get me wrong, Tyler Algier doesn't have Matt Forte breakaway speed. But if you look at Matt Forte when he first came in the league, he reminds you a lot of Tyler Algier. Where, like, with his build, the way he run, how physical he was. Nobody wanted to tackle that guy in December. Hell, they didn't want to tackle him in the preseason, yet alone the beginning of the season. But the fact of the matter, like you said, man, and I hope that they're listening to this, because if you're talking about making immediate impact, and I think that this would also allow the fans to see, okay, if we get a coach in here that we know, right now, I saw somebody to come and say, DC, Rex Ryan ain't coming to be no coordinator in Atlanta.
Oh, no, he said Rob Ryan, Rex's brother. That was who he said.
Oh, Rob. Okay, yeah. Hey, Rob Ryan was the one who built. Because let's don't get me wrong. You know, for the
he built that New Orleans defense that was kicking our butt.
Exactly. And also, he kind of helped give Dallas's defense an identity. Think
Before
about
Dan Quinn got there. Remember, he got fired.
Yep.
And they brought in Dan Quinn. So again, Dan Quinn inherited a defense that was already built.
Yep.
And he just took it and ran with it. But you can't take away from what. And here's the funny part: Dan Quinn took over another. You cold-blooded now. Now, see, I got rules for everybody that come up in here, man.
I'm sorry, man.
Look, you can't be eating on camera, man. We got some decorum there up in here. But once you get that slice of pizza up in your system, come on back. But let's be honest, man. If you really look at everything that we've had, I can tell you up front, I think one of the craziest things that you can look at when we talk about a possibility, and these are just scenarios we throwing out. We're not sitting here throwing a pity party, because here's the thing. I had 24 hours to get it out my system, which I did. I celebrated turning 38 yesterday. I didn't think about the fact that took me a couple of adult beverages to be politically correct, just to celebrate. But honestly, at this point, I'm looking at it like Rex Ryan was saying. We gotta have some dudes that's got some bad tempers, dudes that don't mind. Hey, I'll fight you. Go back and look at the New York Jets Hard Knocks. Look at how many fights broke out. Look at how many nasty guys were on that team, because it's crazy. It's crazy to think about the fact that because they didn't have a quarterback, they couldn't get past the Pats. If they got past the Pats, I believe the Jets probably would have had 1 or 2 Super Bowls. Honestly. And
they probably would have won that year with Mark Sanchez. If they had won that game with Mark, they probably would have won that year.
And just think about who the offensive coordinator was. It was Brian Schottenheimer, Marty Schottenheimer's son. And and God rest Marty Schottenheimer's soul. So if you guys don't know who Marty is, Marty Schottenheimer was the coach that could never get over the hump. He was always getting to the AFC Championship games back in the day when he was a head coach for Cleveland. And then when he got to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then when he also got to the San Diego Chargers, because he's the reason why Drew Brees became a New Orleans Saint, because he cut him. He cut him, and Miami didn't get him, and New Orleans took him, and the rest was history. So all I'm saying is this. At this point, we're going to be fine. It's just changes need to be made. We're throwing coaches out here that I believe would create an identity here in Atlanta that would not only be here, but it would be respected. Because at this point, we're still the butt of the jokes. You go back and look at ESPN, you look at how high they were on us. You look at all the moves. They liked what we did. The only thing they were pissed about is we drafted Penix. It messed up their storylines. But now that they see that we got Penix or whatnot, they're going to have to talk about us, because we're not going anywhere offensively. It's can we adjust and get this defense right? But as I said before, Arthur Blank is more about loyalty than he is about results. And that right there is one of the reasons why we don't have a championship trophy. That's the honest to God truth.
That's also going to cause them to end up having to sell the Falcons, man. Think about it. I mean, let's be real. Yeah, you get bringing in revenue from the soccer team. And them boys, they won a championship. They still doing their thing, trying to bounce back. Of course, you have the SEC championship in there. It's probably going to be a college football. It's going to be a couple bowl games in there every year. But you don't want to lose the revenue that you bring in from the Atlanta Falcons. That's a big part of his profits, probably. And like I said, the fact of the matter is, I mean, you talk about missing the playoffs for 7-8 seasons straight, man. I mean, at some and I always say, at some point, you have to consider your fans. You have to consider the people that are putting money into the stadium. So, and like I said, into your pockets in general. But like I said, it's tough knowing that we have a long off season coming up, and we got to go through the same thing over and over and over, with the stress of, are they going to go out and get the pieces that we need? You know, are you going to let some guys go that, like, don't get me wrong, I love Grady Jarrett. We can go back to the 3 sacks in the Super Bowl. We know that Grady has had a dominant career in Atlanta, but are you willing?
It's time for him to go. You ain't got to listen. You ain't got to dress it up. Call it for what it is. It's time for Grady to get the step. It's time for him to go somewhere. And this is what I would say. This is how you do Grady a service. Send him to an AFC team that's competing for a championship. Mm-hmm. You do not let him go to the NFC. Yep. You send him away from us. But guess what? You send him to a team that's going to give us some value. Yeah. Because this is the way that you repay a guy that's done stood this out, and he could have easily left. Yeah. This is how you repay him and say, listen, you're going to be a Falcon great. We're going to have you in this Ring of Honor one day. But what we need to do for you is we need to ship you off to an AFC contender that is competing for the playoffs every year, that's competing for a championship, and put you in a position to where we can send you off, because what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to get these young guys in here, and we're going to have to start over. I get that you bring a senior presence in this locker room, but my thing is, your career you're pretty much on borrowed time at this point. You've got a knee injury that you're coming back from, and you're older now. Not saying that you can't play, but I don't think that you're going to be able to give the Falcons what we need for the future. I'm sorry. Business is business. You got to cut ties. And I know I'm going to catch some hell for this, but it is what it is. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, like I said, we all love Grady, but at the end of the day, the gas is run out of the tank for Grady Jarrett. It's run out of the tank. And I see when somebody down said missing playoffs, unacceptable. I get it. You know, because like I said, I didn't buy season tickets this year personally because, you know, just going off the path, like I said, I'm always going to support the Atlanta Falcons. But the fact of the matter is, it ain't even so much a season ticket. Like you said, Arthur Blank is too friendly. He's holding on to guys past their prime, trying to make everybody a Falcon for life. And the fact that we've not made to the playoffs 7 years, and the only real improvements that we've seen on defense is, let's be honest, AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates. Justin Simmons gave us nothing this year, right? We could talk about, don't get me wrong, Caden Ellis has been dynamic for us the past couple of years. We know Hammond had the good year last year. But what have the Atlanta Falcons actually done other than Jesse Bates, outside of Jesse Bates, drafting AJ Terrell? And here's a guy that hasn't been around this year because he doesn't fit the defensive scheme that we're running right now. And he was good last year, but guess what? He disappeared. David Onyemata.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A lot of people, think about it. No one's mentioned that name. Haven't you noticed that? It's to him, and it's another one, Taquan Graham. Yeah, two guys that have been MIA.
I will say this, though. David Onyemata did make a lot of splash plays against the run this year. I mean,
I got to give him that. I give him that. He controlled the pocket. But again, as I said before, we missed out on somebody who really is a zero technique. And I know Bijan is dynamic, but I'm always gonna say it. Every running back is one carry away from being done for good because running backs only have so many carries. And Bijan's got a lot of mileage. And the reason why I say that is not what he's doing in Atlanta. It's what they did to him in Texas. Yeah. People don't a lot of people don't realize this. If you don't watch college football, Bijan was getting 25, 30 carries. Yeah. He was getting that, and he was banged up in Texas. Yep. His backup is actually nice. So all I'm saying is at this point, you really have to understand you can't put mileage on Bijan like that right now. Yeah. A lot of fans don't know this unless you're a college football fan as well. Bijan had a lot of mileage at Texas. Yeah. A lot of mileage. And you get more mileage out of a lineman for years than you do a running back. Because running backs take so much of a beating, and and now they're a part of the passing game, so it takes some of the stress off of them. But we just pretty much use Bijan to run him into the ground, whether it's passing to him, running to him. We literally put him into the ground like Texas did.
Yep. And then with the addition of adding them to the passing game when they go 60 protection, 70 protection with Bijan taking on that contact, all the contact from the backers, I'm going to be honest with you, and a lot of folks may not want to hear this. I think that 3-4 years from now, Bijan may be useless to us. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, like you said, Ryan, the guy's taking a lot, and like I said, I watch a lot of college football. And even if you go back to when Texas played Alabama his last season now, Bijan 35, damn near 40 touches a game. And if you look at how he's been, don't get me wrong, you want to see your running back involved because this isn't something that we can say, well we've had over the past. Don't get me wrong.
His running style is what people don't realize.
Yeah, but
boom, boom. I'm gonna say this. I want you to finish this because this is what I'm getting ready to add into here. You jump on it.
Yeah,
his running style is like a deer in a minefield. It's just a matter of time. It is a matter of time. And I knock on wood and I pray for the cat to stay healthy. But the way that he runs, how he's jump cutting, he's doing all this is what y'all don't understand. How do you think Jamal Anderson blew out his knee? Jump cutting. And he does it so much he doesn't think about it.
Warrick Dunn.
Warrick Dunn too. Warrick Dunn said hands down he had to kind of change his running style to stay around. And you have to realize that running style, a lot of running backs don't last long running like Bijan.
Yep. And luckily, Saquon Barkley was able to recover from that because they got similar styles. But Ryan, man, you hit the nail on the head. I've been saying this since this guy came in the league. What folks don't understand, wear and tear is real. Wear and tear is real. Like I said, it's a matter of time before Bijan jump cut and that ACL pop, man. Because, like I said, if we go back in the history of the league, elusive backs like that never last long. And I'm going to be honest, and this is why I would like to keep Tyler Algier around. But
take that pressure off of him.
Yeah, and also on the flip side, the question is, how long is Tyler Algier going to continue to limit himself? Because truth be told, Tyler Algier to me is a 20 carry a game guy. I mean, it's probably going to be several teams reaching out to Atlanta regarding Tyler Algier because he can go somewhere and start. You see what I'm saying? But pretty soon, I say 2 or 3 years from now, the Falcons going to be looking for Bijan Robinson's replacement. They do have Jace McClellan from Alabama on the roster, and there's several good running backs going to be drafted. You know, teams going to always draft and pick up free agent running backs, and it's a lot easier to find a good back because you can create a good back. But like you said, if we take Jalen Carter 2 years ago, the defensive line problems would have been a lot better. Not saying that it was going to be great this season, but you're talking about an interior guy that you can line up in the 3 technique, the 4-eye, head up, nose. You know, you're talking about a guy that can dominate from the interior to help out the edge guys. So, like you said, Ryan, what people don't understand, it's great to see Bijan, right? And just like when Saquon Barkley tore his ACL, I didn't think Saquon was going to come back like that. But it's a thin line between coming back and continuing a successful career over, you know, having that injury and it wrecking your career. Because I'm going to be honest, it ain't going to be a lot of Derrick Henrys coming in the league. You ain't going to see a lot of them. You don't see the Matt Fortes, the Michael Turners anymore. You know, you got backs that are similar, but yeah.
I'm going to give you this. Here's the thing, folks. And like I said, I'm an old school football fan. Yes, I'm a diehard Falcon fan. But the man that inspired me to play, I'm 37, is Walter Payton. That's my idol. That is my guy. You can't tell me nothing about him. Walter was a different animal. And if you ever get a chance to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Walter had small feet. And it's funny as heck when you think about it, when you see him in his footage running over 300-pound guys, hitting Ronnie, literally running over Ronnie Lott. Walter was nothing but about 5'9", 5'10". The heaviest he'd ever been was 200, 205 pounds, but he ran like he was 300. And he played 13 years and missed one game. And the reason he missed it was because the coach sat him out because of an ankle. But you don't have guys that are bell cows like that anymore. Where for 8 years of his career, he was the Chicago Bears offense. Doug Plank came on this show and talked about how conditioned he was, how in shape he was, and the beatings that he took. And people don't realize that he sometimes didn't practice during the week, but he was there every Sunday, and he played like it was no tomorrow. You don't have those caliber of backs anymore because at the end of the day, you don't see guys getting beat on like that. I'm gonna tell you this here. I dislike Emmitt Smith to this day because he broke Walter's record and he's a Florida Gator for number one. I got my cousin watching shit Gator fan, so shout out to my cousin Nick. But what made Emmitt great was the fact that he was durable. Everybody talks about that offensive line, but y'all look back at the footage of when that offensive line started to dwindle during his career. Emmitt wasn't getting off like he once was. He was starting to take a pounding later in his career, but Emmitt was durable. You don't see running backs that are durable anymore. The last one that we really saw was Adrian Peterson, being honest. So
that guy tore his ACL, came back 10 months later
and ran for 2,000 yards. Almost broke Eric Dickerson's record.
Actually, he was 7 yards short or something like that.
Yep. So when we look at it, and this is just and folks, we definitely appreciate you tuning in. It's just a pop-up show I'm doing today, and then we're gonna have the regular show where we're letting everybody come in tomorrow night and talk about what they feeling about the Falcons. What do you want to see in the offseason? And the thing is, we want folks to come in. And this is what else that makes and this is why I say it's a difference. If you ever notice, Bijan he's learning not to take big hits. He's learning that. Now, he can't help the ones that he can't see. That's going to happen. But he's got to learn because he's a big boy. You see how he runs. And again, beautiful dynamic runs, and these cuts are beautiful. But again, bodies are always flying, and you don't know where it's coming from at a high speed. So and Emmitt was short. That was the other thing. Emmitt was short, just like Barry. That helped those guys out. But I just worry about Bijan being able to make it through a season. And like I said, I love watching him run, but I get nervous because it's like watching a deer run through a minefield because we've seen those explosive runners. Hell, O.J. Simpson was a herky-jerk type of runner. O.J. blew his knee out. He was never the same. And O.J. was a big back that had speed and could outrun you. He could shake you or he could run you over. He pretty much wasn't as dazzling as Bijan, but he was just one of those guys you made a business decision with sometimes. So I'm just giving examples of guys that you got the ones who were durable, and then you got the ones who were great that didn't last long. Hell, Earl Campbell only played 8 years.
Yep.
One of the greatest runners of all time, speed and power. And now he can barely walk. So again, running backs take more licks than they should be taking. That's why I said you don't draft a running back in the first round. It just doesn't work.
And with that being said, because you don't have to, think about it. You got all these decent running backs that are on somebody's practice squad. It's a lot easier to find a decent back over a generational talent at a defensive line. Because let's be honest, Ryan, man. If the Atlanta Falcons go out this offseason and do what they're supposed to do up front on defense, it does matter who you have in your secondary, but at the same time, if your front seven is solid, you can put anybody on the back end. Think about it. We getting beat up and down the field simply because we can't get to the quarterback. Yeah, we can talk about the 4 games we got to the quarterback. So what? That's not enough. That's only a quarter of the season. If you go out and, they need to be D-line focused, D-line and tackle focused. Look at that big guys like Caden Proctor coming out of Alabama. All the big guys coming out of Georgia. Michael Walker out of Georgia. You know, they probably not going to get big guy from Penn State. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick. But there's several edge rushers coming out. We will get Trice back next year. We will probably see more Brandon Dorless. You know, Zach Robinson, a young guy. Not Zach Robinson. Big boy from Ohio State. We like I said, they have drafted a significant value of young talent. We don't know what Trice is yet because he's yet to play a snap outside of preseason. But the fact of the matter is, they have to go out and do the right thing. Because like you said with Bijan, we will be lucky if we can get a championship before Bijan's ceiling lowers. We will be lucky if we can go out and get it. I'm not a big Chase Young fan. Chase Young ain't showed me a lot. He'd just be a good depth guy. But I'm talking about guys that can come in right here. Abdul Carter from Penn State, which we probably won't get. We have to trade up to get him.
I don't want him because he's a little light in the butt. And I'll tell you right now, he was quiet against SMU. You look at the game that he played in the playoff games that he's played in. He's been quiet because he's been getting manhandled. He's light in the butt, just like Evan Ketty was. Parsons was a different animal. And my thing is, I'm gonna be honest with you. We gotta fix the trenches. We really do. But the other thing that we have to get is a number 2 corner. We really got to get a number 2 corner. That is something that has to happen because Hughes is not consistent. I like Clark Phillips III, too small. He's been getting bullied. He's not a Brent Grimes type of corner. He's got Brent Grimes' ability, but it's just Grimes was a different animal.
Brent Grimes was a dog, man.
That's why I say he was a different animal. And he and Grimes were about the same size, but the difference was Grimes would put that hat on you, though. Grimes was strong.
Brent Grimes was putting the hat on folk, man. I think Brent Grimes may actually lead the Falcons in concussions. Let's be honest. I mean, he would hit guys. So him and Dante Robinson when we had him. Robinson wasn't the best cover guy, but when you talk about
Robinson to hit you.
2 Falcons corners that's gonna come down and hit, man. All we got now, we got AJ Terrell and folks say, well, AJ this, AJ that. AJ don't give up.
They only hype him up because he's from the crib. That's why.
On the other side, we got a bunch of dead men true funds over there, man, getting beat like they stole something, man. I called Mr. Desmond Trufant the ghetto steak. Yeah. And if anybody knows what ghetto steak is, it's burnt bologna that you put on bread. He was burnt bologna. That's what Trufant was. I mean, this is the thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I'm a high school football coach, and possibly about to interview for some college jobs because I've been doing it for a while. I won't coach for a lot of all-star games. But man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've never, since I've been coaching and played football at Albany State University, HBCU. I'm probably gonna be.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, but man, that guy. I've never in all of football seen somebody get beat. They got behind Trufant every passing attempt. I'm like, how? This man got beat deep every single time, and it was bad. And then
they paid him that money. That's what made it
even. Because the Trufant brothers, man, that's a football family. You know what I'm saying?
He got off because of that last name.
Yeah, it was the strength of his last name that we drafted him. But like you said, man, it's like we got a bunch of Desmond Trufants over there, man. We still got to figure out our strong safety because we know Jesse's back at, Jesse's at, so we still got to figure out free safety. Because I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be upset if they kept Justin Simmons for another year because I'm not going to sit up there. Now, we know Justin Simmons didn't have the best season, but I would rather have Justin Simmons over a lot of other guys that we could possibly get right now.
Of course. But at this point, when you look at what it was more so, and I keep telling people, the man didn't know the playbook. He literally showed up right when the season started. So he didn't get reps. He didn't get this. He had to learn during the season. And a lot of the time, a lot of guys aren't gifted enough to do it. It's only certain guys who can do it. It's not easy learning a playbook and having to. He couldn't just react. He had to think. But if you ever look at it when Simmons knows what he's doing, if you saw that, he was reacting and you saw him making plays. You saw flashes of it. But I said this long time ago, we had a chance to draft TJ Tampa. Didn't nobody want to listen to me. And I said TJ Tampa was a dog and you did not draft him. And I was upset. I was visibly upset on draft day. Because guess what Baltimore did? After they got Nate Wiggins, they waited. And guess what? They snatched TJ Tampa. And you look at that secondary. TJ Tampa was a guy that we could have took in the second round.
Yep.
But everybody was like, well, we took Rukeroro. I'm like,
and which I wasn't mad about Rukeroro, but
Rook is solid, but I still got to see more. I got to see more.
Michael said in the comments, I'm doing laps around how, yeah, Michael, man, I'm getting warmed up for the gym, man. I'm getting warmed up. I gotta get Planet Fitness.
Man, I feel you on that.
But I'm gonna be honest though, man. You know, the fact of the matter is, and the thing is, I think the biggest letdown for me over the last 4 drafts, man, I really expected a lot out of Richie Grant, though. I thought that by this time this year, we be talking about Richie Grant as a Pro Bowler, talking about Richie Grant as one of the better safeties in the National Football League, man. But Richie Grant, and I'm going to be honest with you, you may not agree. A lot of folk may not agree. Pound for pound, skill for skill, I think Richie Grant is the most athletic guy that we have in the secondary. The guy just don't know what he's doing when he's on the field. I mean, Richie Grant was a great safety coming out of college. But the fact of the matter is, man, like I said,
that's highly negotiable, and I'm gonna counter you after you finish your point.
Well, I'm gonna take back the great part. Put it like this: he was good enough to be coached to become a good player. I'm gonna say that.
No, politics played the reason why that fool was starting at UCF. There was a kid by the name of Marquise Bell who was better.
Oh yeah,
it was politics in that. My boy Marquise had to go to FAMU, and he stood out and had the same numbers as Kyle Hamilton that is in Baltimore right now. And Marquise came as an undrafted free agent. The only thing that took him out this year was that nasty shoulder injury he had. And Marquise literally was starting. Dallas fans will tell you that, because when he came in as a rook, he was the reason they stayed in that playoff game against the 49ers when he made that play on special teams. He made 2 crucial plays. So again, he ended up getting in that rotation. You see Dan Quinn used him. I promise you this. Let Dallas fool around and cut him. Watch him go to Washington. How much you want to bet?
Oh, yeah. He going to definitely stay in the division. Let me ask you this, though. Is Malachi Starks coming out of college this year, or is he going back to Georgia?
Malachi Starks is hitting the league. He's already confirmed it. He's hitting the league. So Starks is a solid player, but a lot of the time that I saw it, he was out of position a lot of the time.
Definitely.
So for me, I'll be honest with you. I think he has to go through some things, and I think he has to be polished and he has to be groomed to become a NFL caliber safety. If it's anybody I'm taking at that safety position, and a lot of people might laugh when I say it, I would take Dan Jackson. And the reason I say that, might not have the greatest speed in the world, but he's fast enough. Dan has a very high IQ. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give it to you like this. The smartest football players are the ones who last the longest. You can have all the greatest physical traits, but if you don't have it up here, if you can't think, read, and react, if you can't see stuff out, your career is not gonna last that long. Because at the NFL, you have to be cerebral and you have to have some type of football IQ to make it. And Jackson will step down in the box and he don't miss many tackles. He only missed 22 tackles this year. And he played over 1,000 snaps this year. So again, when you look at it, I will take a guy who is a sure tackler, because on this defense, we don't have any sure tacklers. We got people that'll show up and they'll hit you and they won't wrap up and bring you to the ground. I need guys that are fundamentally sound. So last thing I got for you, Boom, before we wrap this thing up, man.
All right.
How do you feel with the way that, so now that we're out, we're seeing what's going on, and I'm just going to use the Georgia Bulldogs as an example. I got to.
Okay.
Kirby Smart addressed the wide receiver situation in the portal. It has yet to be seen to what these guys are going to be able to do together, because we still got to see who's going to be the quarterback and everything. But I got to make sure that you look at it. We had a need for receivers because nobody could catch the ball. Kirby went and got receivers. Now, the other thing he got was safeties, because you had 2 safeties to leave, and now you're starting to get more guys from that defensive line that's leaving. So if he restocked, this is the thing that the Falcons have to start doing. Instead of getting these project players, you need to start drafting guys that are studs. And how do you feel this scouting department? No, we're not. We were just doing this ourselves tonight. We're not bringing anybody on. If you coming on, you coming on tomorrow. So that's for tomorrow. So got to catch you tomorrow. But what I'm saying is this: with everything that we have going, how do you feel that this scouting department is going to be? How do you think it needs to change?
I think it needs to change simply because first starting off, we don't go out and get or attempt to get the big name guys we can get. I think that what we should start doing with our scouting department, I think they should look at the best pass rushers in the NFL, and of course they do this, the best pass rushers, and figuring out what players can come in and be what Micah Parsons is for the Cowboys, be what Myles Garrett is for the Browns. To me personally, if you can't go out and get a Micah Parsons in free agency, go get you a Mykel Williams from Georgia that plays just like your boy from Dallas. So I think their approach should be, okay, we have to create through the draft, go out and find players that can come in and be similar to the guys that are lighting the NFL up. You got and it all starts with, taking care of the needs first. And if I'm our scouting department, I'm looking at the Jalen Walkers. I'm looking at the Jahad Campbells. I'm looking at the like I said, Mykel Williams. I'm looking at the Jahdae Browns, cornerback from Texas. I'm looking at guys that lit it up in college football, that were next level, that have been NFL ready for the past 2 years. We talking about guys who are arguably, you could talk about Abdul Carter from Penn State, but my personal favorite, not just because it's Georgia or whatever the case is, I like Mykel Williams. I think he is an immediate impact right now. And the way that the draft is set up, he should fall right in the laps of the Atlanta Falcons. If you ask me, I think he should be the first edge rusher off the board. But in terms of our scouting department, it's time to start drafting in terms of, okay, well, we just want to sell tickets. It's time to start drafting guys who can come in and help us win Super Bowls. Every other team is doing it. Every other team is getting it done. But like I said, if you can't go and get your Micah Parsons from free agency, tell this scouting department to go out and find a Micah Parsons in the draft, because there's not several, but we got 2 players right now that can come in and be a Micah Parsons type, and that's Jalen Walker and Mykel Williams, and they both already in the state of Georgia. So, yeah, they both already in the state. Don't let those guys leave the state of Georgia.
And that's my thing. At least if you're not going to get both, I think you need to get at least one.
Yeah.
And the thing is, at this point, you really have to be smart about the moves that you're going to make, because I can tell you right now, this could be a move that could set us back. This could be a move to set us forward. But defensively, you got to look around. And like I said, you played at the HBCU level. I was supposed to play at the HBCU level, Southern University, SU. I'll tell you just like this. There's a couple of guys right now. We only have 5 picks, but depending on what Terry does, because I feel like Terry's going to get us at least 2 or 3 more picks.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's just waiting till after the season starts. But I think he's going to get something. Now, if he doesn't, at this point, you got to start scouting the smaller divisions. You got to start looking at guys you can bring in as undrafted free agents, and you got to start bringing these guys in, because all I can tell you is at this point, it's futile, because I've already said, oh man, how can I put it? I've already said that there are so many kids that don't get opportunities. Like, there's a kid right now at South Carolina State, their quarterback, Savannah, Georgia kid. You could bring him in as a backup, because guess what? Penix has an injury history. You're not playing John Paddock. You got to have depth at that quarterback position for guys that can play. And if you plug him in, if anything was to happen, he can run. He can also throw. He was one of the top players. He's one of the top HBCU prospects. So when you look at it, it's so many of these guys out here that are nice. Like there's a corner out of FAMU. His name is Kendall Bowler. Y'all might want to check him out. One of the nastiest corners that you would see. Good hands, quick feet, and he'll come up and hit you.
Matter of
You
fact,
got a kid that's coming out of Fayetteville State by the name of Kobe Merritt. He's a hard hitter. But the biggest guy that I want is coming out of Alabama A&M, and he's an offensive lineman. And it's just like all you can do is just sit back and drool when you see the kid. His name's Andrew Jones. You look at him; he's one of the nastiest to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna say this too. When you look at HBCUs, and a lot of folks don't understand, like when you go to the Georgias and the Alabamas and the LSUs, the NFL is pretty much given to you. You look at the facilities, you look at the trainers they have, you look at just everything. But in D2 and D1 AA, HBCU, we gotta grind, bro. And when we get an opportunity to line up against Division I schools, we got a chip on our shoulder, man. You know, and like Ryan is saying, a lot of guys sleep on these guys. But if you look at the guys that have gone into the NFL from these schools, like I said, I always like to bring this name up, Grover Stewart. This guy went to Albany State University, Division II, from Mitchell County High School in Camilla, Georgia. And this guy is by far the strongest man I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about this guy was out there while we had practicing, while we got out of practice. He's out there, man, picking up cows that are tipped over. And I'm being serious, guys. This guy is the strongest human being I've ever met. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. And at the HBCU schools, we got to work harder. The NFL, we have had NFL scouts come in and say, this is the worst football conditions I've ever seen, and you guys have won a conference title and a national championship. He said, there's no way you win with this. And that's why when you look at Albany State, man, at least 25 NFL teams are going down there on a yearly basis. Yep. So like Ryan said, a lot of people sleep on these HBCUs. I'm going to tell you something. It's a lot, and most of the guys who end up at HBC, not saying end up like it's a bad thing to go. Most of these guys turned down the Ohio States, turned down the Florida States.
Some didn't have the grades. Some didn't have the grades to get in.
Have the grades. Some of that was the only school they were able to get in through JUCO. There are the same thing you see in the SEC. It's what you'll see at the Jackson States, the Alabama A&Ms, the Alabama State, the North Carolina A&T, the Tennessee State, the FAMUs. There are some dogs around this country. And me personally, I feel bad because don't get me wrong, I look at the HBCU games on bounce. Don't really keep up with the players like I used to because, you know, I'm a football guy. I look at all football I can. But, man, when you look at these games, what's the difference? It's still the collegiate level, and it's some dogs out there, like Ryan said, man.
But boom, I'm going to give you this. Here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. They always try to say it's the competition level, but I'm going to give you this. The guy that I was speaking on, his name is Carson Vincent. Carson Vincent is a big kid. You know what I mean? And you can get him as an undrafted free agent coming out, and he's giving up less than 10 sacks. You're talking about a guy that's 6'6", 305, 310. He's a biscuit away from 315. Yeah. And he's up and down with his weight. Big kid. And when you look at that, and I'm going to give you another, and I talked about Kendall Bowler. I got a guy for you. We're talking about we need help at the linebacker spot. There's a kid out of South Carolina State by the name of Aaron Smith.
Yeah.
95 tackles. I know about 8.5 tackles lost, and he has half a sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, and he's got 2 pass breakups. He's an inside linebacker. Think about this. The man pretty much disengages blocks. He has physicality that he brings to the table. I think he had an unfair type of evaluation. But when you look at these type of guys that we can bring into Atlanta, you can get these gems. You can get these gems as undrafted free agents. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to always draft your great players. Just saying. There are 17 NFL Hall of Famers that were undrafted.
Yep.
I can give you 2 of them right off the bat. Kurt Warner is one.
Yep.
There's a guy by the name of Drew Pearson that played for the Dallas Cowboys named Clutch.
Yep.
So again, and Clutch was one of the best receivers in the game at the time. So, and he got that nickname for catching passes in big games.
Yep.
He was the original 88 for Dallas back in the day, before Michael Irvin being the playmaker. He was the original. So again, Michael Irvin even said it. I had to live up to his expectations. That's why if anybody wear that number 88, you got the ball because you had not just two, and then you had Dez Bryant, who a lot of people don't give credit to. You've had three dudes wear that number that are balled out. So I'm just using that as an example. But, you know, one of the guys that should be in the Hall of Fame right now is Eric Allen. He's responsible for helping Dallas get 3 Super Bowls. It sucked that he got in that car accident later in his career because he literally had a Hall of Fame type of career, but it was cut short because of that car accident. And he was never the same after that. I mean, we can go on about it, but I'm not, because I said this was going to be a short pop-up show. But when I get in here with my guy, Boom, he definitely brings it. And I love working with him. Just like this is extended family right here. You know what I'm saying? This is what we call it. So, Boom, please tell the people where we can find you. And if y'all find this channel, please give this brother some likes, some subscribes, because guess what? We're trying to help each other out, man. This is what we do. We help other content creators get on, man. So tell them where they can find you.
Man, y'all can find me on, first I want to say, man, I appreciate you, Ryan, man. Like I said, when you talk about a guy that's knowledgeable of the game, man, you know, when of course, our brothers from 95 North Sports, man, you're very knowledgeable of the game, man. You can give the history. You go way back. I'm 4 years younger than you. But like I said, when we talking about historical facts of football, knowledge of smaller schools, knowledge of, you know, former players, just what teams need, what the Atlanta Falcons need to be great. You know, and I appreciate you for that. Because like I said, you helped me in a lot of ways, man. Just before I even start, let me come on, just watching your shows, man, learning from you, taking notes. But with that being said, man, y'all can find me on YouTube at DA Boom, DAATL Sports on YouTube. And you can find me at DATL Sports on Twitter. And I'm also about to start up Instagram channel too. So right now, DATL Sports on YouTube and DATL Sports on Twitter.
That's what's up, man. Hey, I pretty much put my info behind. I was meaning to get it to you last time, but I know you had to roll or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like I said, I got the business email and the number that you contact me or whatnot. Because off the record, because like I said, I do come home to the crib to Atlanta, so we definitely chop it up or whatnot. Definitely got to put that out here, but I got to make sure that we help you get your channel out there, because at the end of the day, man, we all we got.
Gotcha. And I don't know if you're gonna be here for the national championship next Monday, but I'm thinking about doing a tailgate down there by the stadium. So
I'm gonna be up here in this cold weather up here in Philly, my boy. So I'm enjoying 19-degree weather right now as we speak.
You can have it, boy. You can have it. I don't need that.
Hey, look, it's gonna snow this weekend, so I'm good. Look, I'm good with it. I got my salt and my shovel, so I got my workout for this weekend, so I'm good.
Hey, 19 degrees there is different from 19 degrees here. So
exactly
that, man. I never go back.
I lived in New England and I lived in Alaska, bro. This ain't bad. Trust me. Philly, it's cold, but it's not as bad as what I was in when I was in the service at the time, man. So trust me, it's a whole different life when you be in those real cold environments. So definitely appreciate you coming through. And for all the folks that are in here in the chat, I want to thank you guys from coming on from YouTube, the Twitter platform, also Facebook and other platforms that we're streaming from. So guess what? This isn't the only show. This is just a pop-up show for tonight, but we have the regular show coming tomorrow. So what's going to happen is I'm going to drop a link. We're going to be in there and we're going to chop it up. We're going to rotate folks because we know we get a lot of heavy traffic. So boom, you're more than welcome to come back tomorrow, but it's going to be the official show that we're going to have tomorrow. So I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Y'all tap in with my guy, Boom, 95 North Sports, those guys, Ignorant Thinkers Podcast. Let's see, who am I forgetting? My man T Will, got to check in with him too. It's so many that are out here that we deal with. A1, Berto and those guys as well. Y'all got to tap in, man. If I got you, I'm sorry. Forgive me. My mind is a little blank today. I'm a little tired, but it's all good. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out, man. Hey, we got love for you. We'll see you on the next pop-up show. But tomorrow will be the official show. So we out of here, baby. It's the Birdcage. Ghost.